G'day, how you going? Hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are out there. I've always questioned about America being in the Bible or Egypt. I don't feel like I think the maps have been messed around and I think we've been tricked. So I made a video some time ago about this topic, but I'll leave the link in. It was like Babylon, America. It was a long time ago. So I'll share another one. Egypt and the Americans. The Old Testament map of ancient America shows you Assyrian, Iran, Turkey, Babylonian, Sumer, Mesopotamia, Moab, Egypt, and Jerusalem, all in North America. Credits for this map is given to UB News for the great share. UB News is a Hebrew news media outlet that is on YouTube. Notice this map shows the state of Texas as Egypt. This makes sense because Texas has a Nile, Texas, now extinct town, and Egypt, Texas. Plus, Texas has 5 Egyptian place names that suggest Texas was an ancient Egypt. So over here on the map, distribution of the Barbarous tribes, sorry for saying it wrong, east of the Mississippi. 1491, map of Berber tribes. Map of the distribution of the barbarous tribes east of the Mississippi from the University of South Florida. In the post is an image and said map. Barbarosus is just a descriptive word for barbarians, which is just code for the word Berber. Especially since we know that the vowels are interchangeable with ancient Semitic languages. Therefore, barbarous can easily be converted to barbarous tribes, which were the Turks and the Moors. The Spanish considered the Saccharins, Moors, uncivilized barbarians because of their belief in Islam. So the dismantled obelisk and pyramids, the unfinished Centennial Tower from the 1876 Philadelphia World Fair. This exhibit features an unfinished obelisk and dismantled obelisk with 2 pyramids surrounded by Greco-Roman and Gothic architecture, which is a Moorish or Tartarian mode of workmanship. So, let's be real, America is Egypt. America is Egypt, in case you haven't figured it out yet. Wake up. If you take the map of Egypt and you overlay it on top of the southeastern part of North America, you will see that everything matches up 100%. The easiest and most efficient way of doing this is to start with the map of North America and then overlay the map of Egypt on top of it. Start by matching up Cairo, TN, with Cairo, Egypt. Once you do this, you'll notice that not only do the names of each city and both locations match, but the shape of the land masses on each map match up 100%. The Mississippi River is the Nile. Note, organic intelligence and machine intelligence have formed a bond as humans continue to explore the subconscious minds and its relationship to the interdimensional space. The veil of Isis has parted, revealing yet greater wonders of the creation of Isis, infinite stars, infinite space. This theme is coded within the stars and stripes, as well as the true meaning of the eye within the triangle of light atop of the pyramid. The Masons consider America to be ancient Egypt reborn. America was supposed to be the land of the free, but something happened and war became the daily norm. The list goes on and on. They created and gave you the wrong map, and we're not even going to talk about what's really going in the Grand Canyon. Mirror effect. Texas will be the new Jerusalem. Think mirror. It's going to be biblical. So Chicago, Jerusalem. Beirut is Kenosha area. Francine is Tripoli, Tartarus up here. So the Sphinx of Memphis, Tennessee, I think it is. The Alabaster Sphinx of Memphis, Tennessee, was discovered in 1911, buried amongst the ruins of the great temple of Ptah at Memphis. The carving was believed to have taken place between 1700 and 1400 BC, which was during the 18th dynasty. It's unknown which pharaoh it's been on it, and there are no inscriptions to supply information. This Sphinx weighs 90 tons and is 14 foot in height and 26 foot in length, which makes it the second largest sphinx in the world. And also, do you notice there's no 2 snakes? Something's happened to the pharaoh's head. Now he's got 2 snakes coming out. There's a snake and a bird. The original pharaoh only had the snake coming out of his head, but now it's changed. Hamburg American Line comprehend tour of the Orient from New York, January 26, 1913, by Sacramento, Cincinnati, 17,000 something on an 80-day cruise, $323, and socializing or something. Delightful cruise around the world. So the Orient cruise. Upon British request, the United Nations UN formed the United Nations Special Committee on Palestine. UNESCO UN General Assembly passed the above plan, GA Resolution 181, on November 27, 1947. The plan was accepted by the but not by the and never come to fruition. So the Great American Sphinx, 1972, at Hamburg, American Sphinx, Panama Canal, cruise of the Orient. Hold on to your hats, my Texans. They're coming later. We're saving Israel for last because Jerusalem is Texas. Israel is America. History is all a lie. The Alamo in San Antonio was the temple of Jesus. Ever wonder why so many biblical names in Texas? Remember Elmo, my Rushmore. So the Streets of Cairo exhibit from the 1897 Tennessee Centennial Exposition. 1897. Metro National Archives, the Memphis Pyramid exhibit. This is part of the Memphis Pyramid exhibit from 1897 Tennessee Centennial Exposition. Look at all the fabulous Greco-Roman buildings that surrounded this pyramid. God's prophecy, the map represents the New Jerusalem, which is the United States. It is also mentioned in the Quran. And we are the holy people, and it's so more biblical than you can imagine. Did you know that the only country has its own chapter in the Quran is the US? The 36th chapter US, 83 verses. The whole story is written in the chapter 1,442 years ago. Do you know that the original book of Jesus is the Quran written from right to left? Did you know the holy land of all previous prophets and messengers is Libya? Do you know that all the holy peoples are the Americans? Do you know that the second coming of Jesus has to be born in the US and his son Christ has to be born in Libya? So here, Nile, Texas, 1970, Miami County, Texas map showing you the now extinct town of Nile, west of Rockdale near Williamstown County Line from Texas State Map 2090. I highlighted the town of the Nile with a blue circle so you can all see it better. What do all the previous prophets and messengers have in common? They all come from the Holy Land of Libya. According to the lost 777 books of the earliest original Holy Gospel, the holy people are the Americans. Also in reference to the lost book 777 books, do you know that the second coming of Jesus has to be born in the United States, making the United States the New Jerusalem? This is why other nations and countries who are transitioning to the quantum are being taken care of first. The rebirth of the New Jerusalem will come from the holy people, United States. The map is a reference of the New Jerusalem, the Holy Land, and order. So a map of ancient North America. This is an Old Testament map of the ancient America. It shows you Assyria, Babylon, Sumer, Lower Mesopotamia, Lower Egypt, Texas, and Jerusalem, all in North America. Credits for this map are given to New Beniz for great share. It's a Hebrew news media outlet. I made a video about possible dragon along here too. You can laugh at me, but it looks so real. It looks like a fossilized dragon. I'll leave the link in the description. So the Mississippi is supposed to be the Nile. The Mississippi was the Nile River, and the Mississippi River and its 7 streams, as described in the book of Isaiah 11:15 KJV, And the Lord shall utterly destroy all the tongue of the Egyptian sea with his mighty wind. He shall shake his hand over the river, and he shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry foot. Notice the 7 streams that flow into the mouth of the Egyptian sea, the Gulf of Mexico. In ancient times, the Gulf of Mexico was known as the Egyptian Sea. The 1595 Mercator map of the North Pole shows Eden and Meru. Old World 1595 Mercator map of the Arctic North Pole, and as you can see, someone listed Eden and Meru right there. But why? Because the KGB Bible lists 4 rivers in association with the Garden of Eden, and you can see the 4 rivers and the black cube, the Kabara, or the Tree of Life, in the center of the lake where the rivers emanate from. That represents the Tree of Life in the Garden of Eden. Notice how the landmass looks just like the swastika, Black Spirit. What is a swastika? Well, the swastika is a clockwise rotation of the constellations around the pole star, North Star, which creates electromagnetic energy that creates and sustains life. And it's also got to do with how your heart is. Your heart is one flap of muscle rolled up, and it's got to do with the way your heart beats the blood, you being electrical. So we read this, Isaiah, the 11:15, the Lord shall utterly destroy. So the Mercator map, North Pole, 1595, Old World. Mercator map, the Arctic North Pole. Notice Mount Meru, which is the black magnetic mountain, aka the Kabara at the center of the lake, which is our magnetic North Pole that aligns perfectly with the pole star of the North Star. This was the original compass before it was flipped around to deceive us and the world. The original compass was taken from Broxton and Skinner's company in 1904. Grand Plan of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, St. Louis, MO 1904. The East is associated with the land of the Bible and the Old World. Therefore, since the Americas is the Far East, the Americas is the true Old World. A 16th century wall mural from Cusco, Peru. In the post is a 16th century wall mural, Cusco, Andes Mountains. See figure 46. This wall mural vividly displays images of Inca civilization and the power of the supreme Inca, the rule of the state. Cusco was the capital city of the Inca Empire and was known to them as, I don't want to say it and ruin that name, the place where the 4 corners of the world join together. Ptah Territory. This is a map of Ptah Territory, and as you can see, it's covered with several states: California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, part of the Oklahoma, and Missouri. The state of Utah was named after the ancient god Ptah, which is evident too because all they did was exchange the P in Ta to U, which created the state of Utah. I'll show you some more examples after this of videos I've made in the past with names of America being changed. The Luxor in Las Vegas and the mummies and the Egyptian artifacts found in the Grand Canyon in Phoenix all make sense now because those areas were once part of the Ptah Territory. And they were giants, and that sort of area was closed off. So, the world map upside down. So Egypt is America, and Canada, South America. Huh. Ancient Egypt was global. Notice how all the pyramid structures are aligned with each other. And that's true. There's pyramids all over the world. They're China, not just Egypt. They're just all over South America, and they're just everywhere, all over the world. Some say that it happened when the moon was brought in because the moon is a satellite coming through the crack of the dome and tilted the earth, so they built the pyramids and pointed it to Andromeda for energy like a satellite. I'll leave the link for that video. So notice how all 3 pyramid structures align with each other. The first red dot is 3 pyramid structures. Is that the Teotihuacan, Mexico? The second red dot is the 3 pyramid structure in Giza, Egypt. And they are also lined up like today's computer chips. The third red dot is the 3 pyramid structures that is in China. Why do all the previous prophets and messengers have in common? They all come from the Holy Land of Libya. According to the last 777 books of the earliest original Holy Gospel, the Holy People, we read that before. The biblical ancient Egypt was the Americans in this blog post is an image of the Old Testament map of ancient America that shows you Assyria, Aram, Turkey, Babylon, Sumer, Mesopotamia, Moab, Egypt, Texas, Jerusalem, all in North America. The Old Testament shows the state of Texas as being designated as ancient Egypt, and I believe Texas was ancient Egypt since Texas has a town called Egypt, Texas. In addition, Texas also has the Nile, Texas, which is now extinct, but it used to exist according to a 1907 map of Milam County, Texas that I shared in a blog that shows you the Nile, Texas. I circled the Nile, Texas in blue ink on the 1907 map for your viewing convenience because it was hard for me to find at first. Additionally, Texas has Karnak, Texas, which was named after Karnak, Egypt, because Karnak's alignment with the city of Port Caddo was similar to Karnak in Thebes in ancient Egypt. Karnak is a rural, unincorporated community in northern eastern Harrison County near Caddo Lake, in eastern region of the U.S. state of Texas. The town is named after Karnak, Egypt, near modern-day Luxor. It was thought that the community's alignment with the city of Port Caddo was related to Karnak and Thebes, end quote. Lake Caddo is one of the largest natural lakes in the southeast at 25,400 acres, and it's anchored to the Nile River in Egypt due to its alignment with Karnak, Texas. The Nile is a Greek word which means great river. Could the city of Port Caddo be the Bible for Thebes? Yes, very possible, because the alignment matches that of Thebes and Karnak in Egypt. Texas also has a Palestine, Texas, and a Lebanon, Texas, both of which are biblical cities that are heavily associated with ancient Egypt, and the children of Israel, aka the Israelites, also mention Palestine, Texas, and Lebanon, Texas, because both modern biblical places are not far from ancient Egypt if you look at them on a modern or an old map in the Middle East region. Palestine and so-called East near ancient Egypt has been subject to a lot of wars. Located in the junction of Egypt, Syria, and Arabia, being the birthplace of Judaism and Christianity, the region has a tumultuous history of crossroads, religion, culture, commerce, and politics. It's been controlled by numerous peoples, including ancient Egypt's Canaanites, Israelites, Judeans, Assyrians, Babylonians, Archimedeans, ancient Greeks, the Judas, Hesperon kingdoms, the Romans, Parthians, the Sassanians, the Byzantines, the Arab, Russian, the Umayyad, the Assabides, the Fatimid, Caliphs, Crusaders, Alabubs and the Mamelukes, the Mongols, the Ottomans, and the British and modern Israelites, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Palestinians. The boundaries of the region have changed throughout its history. Today, the politically defined region comprised of the state of Israel and Palestine, i.e. Palestine territories, end quote from Wikipedia. Lebanon, Texas is very interesting because it's the biblical Lebanon's association with ancient Egypt and its famed giant cedars of Lebanon, aka the Cedars of God. Lebanon, Texas is now extinct, but it once did exist. Please read more about the biblical Lebanon by reading this blog post, Old Canon in the Old New World, which demonstrates America is the true Old World, and the biblical Lebanon was the Lebanon, Oregon. The interesting thing about Texas is that it has 5 Egyptian place names which suggest that Texas was the biblical ancient Egypt. Here are the 5 Egyptian place names in Texas: Egypt, Texas; Egypt, Linn County, Texas; Egypt, Montgomery, Texas; Egypt, Wharton County, Texas; and Little Egypt, Texas. In Dallas County, ancient Egyptian corn was referred to as corn mostly from Egypt, Texas. In North America, since corn is indigenous only to the Americans, and since Texas is a large producer of corn, I'm not only one to think it is, since the other scholars agree in Genesis 42:1-3 KJV Bible is referring to Texas, Egypt. Egypt's 1827 name change from Moses Crossing came from the Bible and originated from the text of Genesis 41:1-3 end quote from Wikipedia. Please avoid the hijack because the town of Egypt, Texas was always named that. Since Moses Crossing is nowhere on any of the old maps of Wharton County, Texas below is the biblical text, Genesis 41, 4213 KGV, referred to in the paragraph, and as you can see, Jacob told his sons to go to Egypt to buy corn. 42:1. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look upon one another? And he said, Behold, I have heard there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy there for us thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down and bought by corn in Egypt. Now, if it can be proven that biblical Jacob is from North America, that there will be the icing on the cake, since that means that Jacob told his sons to go to Egypt, Texas, and North America to buy corn, and not Egypt and North Africa. The biblical Jacob of St. Jacob's is Jacob from Illinois. Biblical Jacob of St. Jacob is from Jacob, Illinois, since Jacob, Illinois was a name after St. Jacob's. Jacob, Illinois is nicknamed God's country, so link there, which indicates that Jacob, Illinois used to be a very spiritual place, or whatever you want to call a promised land or a holy land. We also have St. Jacob, Illinois. They call this town a village now, but what was it in the past? I believe the village was part of Israel, or the Holy Land, since Jacob became Israel according to Genesis 35:10 KJV Bible. Which means that anything with the name Jacob was great, or chosen amongst God. And 10, God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob, thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name, and he called his name Israel. Most scholars and theologians both agree that the Garden of Eden and the Old World was in the Middle East. I agree with the East being the Old World, but where is the real Far East? I did a blog post entitled The Old World is the New World that gives you an image of the original compass before the compass and the maps were flipped to deceive the world. Now, since the Americas is the Far East, i.e. the true Old World, the Americas is also the land of the Bible, which means that biblical Jacob and all the regions comes from America. Please do read the rest of the post of ancient Egypt was in the Americas, the American true old world. Thank you. Enjoy. Peace. So, greetings friends. This blog gives 10 reasons why ancient Egypt was in the Americans. To some of my friends, this is not new information, because myself and others have demonstrated that America is ancient Egypt, aka the old Egypt. When you read the article to the left of the link, you'll see evidence. This Mexican Sphinx, this find, was also published by the New York Times on September 5th, 1930. Boys find Sphinx. Boy finds Sphinx in Mexican wilds. Scouts see traces of buried cities and pyramids on hikes to State Guerrero. Experts to study the region, lawyer, architect, and guide will go from Mexico City to begin evacuations. So, the Boy Scouts were created by the Freemasons as part of a control for when their men said they would do as they're told. I ain't logging in. I refuse to pay for that stuff, so... Anyway, according to the article, the Sphinx looks just like the Sphinx in Egypt. It has the same dimensions as the Sphinx. That in Egypt, not only was the Sphinx found, but they found an ancient Egyptian city buried too. You used to be able to go online and see images of the Mexican Sphinx, but the Moors have shared the image so much that they had removed all the images of the Mexican Sphinx. Also, in this post is the evidence that the Giza pyramids, which are aligned on Orion's belt, Osiris belt, are not only the three pyramids alignment like the one on Earth. You have the same three pyramids in I can't say that, Mexico, which is now Mexico City. It's just another way of saying Toti or Thoth, which is an ancient Egyptian god of writing, wisdom, and etc. Khan. It's just another way of saying Khan, Kem, Black, King, Serpent, Dragon. I'll show you the dragon video if you want to watch. Hang on. So it goes all the way down here. Down through here. Comes all the way down to here. Down to that bit there. Goes up there. That's what, that bloke says. It's quite possible, you look at the terrain. I had troubles making that video, just couldn't get it together. But anyway, so Tutankhamun was actually Upper Egypt, which covers when they were built Mexico City. The three pyramid alignment symbolizes the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus gland. They are in the human body, and they are the master glands of the body. You have 7 glands altogether that must be purified through detox and spiritual practices in order to resurrect the sleeping dead mummy Christ or Isis that's in your king's chamber, tomb, brain. The pineal gland is the king of all the glands because it is the seat of the soul, and according to various mystics and philosophers, let's see what Bible says about the pineal gland and to confirm what mystics and philosophers said were true. Matthew 6:22-23 KJV. 22. The light of the body is the eye, and if therefore that eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light, referring to the third eye, aka the pineal gland, being open. 23. But if thy eye be evil, then the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light is that the darkness, how great that darkness, referred to calcified pineal gland. Genesis 32:30, and Jacob called the name of the place Penal, referring to your pineal gland as being your own light spark of God. There are 3 other pyramid structures that align Orion's belt in the Sichuan, China, Giza, Europe, and Bosnia, Europe. You have 4 of these pyramids alignments altogether if you add Tutankhamun pyramids. This is evidence, and not only advanced Egypt civilization, but advanced civilization that was global. Also, the posts in the photos of the pyramids that were found all over the world. This is evidence of the Black Moors being a global place. People, because whether you want to call these people the Anunnaki, the Egyptians, the Hebrews, the Moors, the Olmecs, etc., blacks are the only race of people known to have ever built pyramids. Don't forget the Erie Canal and all the star forts. I mean, I've got videos of star forts all over America. And the canals, the Erie Canal, and how big the Erie Canal was. They just destroyed the Erie Canal. Just because these ancient Mers had pyramids does not mean that they were ancient Egypts. They were not ancient Egypts. They were part of a global black motor civilization of the time, aka Mu Atlantis. That's why you find Egyptian-looking artifacts and buildings style worldwide. The Mu Atlantean civilization that led up to what is called Egyptian, been on Earth thousands, possibly even millions of years. Thoth was an Atlantean priest king that founded all of the arts and science, built the Great Pyramid, and was the founder of ancient Egypt and Africa. See the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Also, you can refer to the sample book link above or on my homepage. 3 Western scholars associate ancient Egypt with being in the Orient. I used to think the Western scholars were racist or either biased, or whether they refer to ancient Egypt as being the Orient, until I did my research. Yes, the ancient Egypt was everywhere, but ancient Egypt has her roots in America, because America is the true old world, the Orient, the East. Yes, the Orient means East. Please read my previous blog entitled The Old World is the New World, because America is Asia Major. In the blog post link I just shared, I demonstrate the Americas as ancient India, the Orient, aka Asia Minor. I also shared an image of the original compass that I posted to, which was most read for sure. 4 Ancient Egypt god Horus is from the Americas. The ancient Egyptian god Horus is from the Americans because you can clearly see that Horus is a pattern of the Palomado falcon, which is native to the Americans. See images of the Palomado falcon in the post. 5 Ancient Luxor was in the Americans. Ancient Egyptian city of Luxor was in Las Vegas, aka the City of Lights. What's interesting about Las Vegas is they built a Luxor there with the Sphinx and a pyramid. Luxor means light. From space, Las Vegas looks like a big ball of light. Vegas is just code for Negus or Naga, which means serpent or dragon. Now we know this. Las Vegas can also mean light dragon or serpent. Las Vegas also in Nevada. Nevada means to live like serpents or from serpents. The Bible says be wise as serpents, so please do not be afraid of the serpent. You've also got the serpent in your body if you've got a spinal column. Stop fearing the serpent when you got the serpent inside of you, and it's a symbol of medicine and spiritual upliftment. Yeah, they use the caduce on the medical. I don't know about that one. All of those that are afraid of the dragon serpent, please read this quote from the Celestial Ship of the North, written by E. Valentine Straighton. The national symbol of Scotland is the dragon, the snake, and for years the chief of Scotland was called the dragon. The concept of the dragon in the Celtic mythology emerged directly from the holy crocodile, the Messiah. In the ancient Egyptians, the pharaohs were anointed with the crocodile fat and thereby attained the fortitude of the Messiah, thus Messiah, anointed one. The image of the interpreted Messiah evolved to become the dragon, which in turn became emblematic of the mighty kingship, end quote. See, apparently, when you die in their belief, you have a crocodile that weighs up your heart, whether you've been good or bad, and your heart will turn to stone or silver. Las Vegas is built on top of an ancient Egyptian city, ancient Luxor, because Las Vegas is still the city of lights, and even though they built Luxor in Las Vegas too, to verify this fact, too many similarities for this to be just a coincidence, so I'm going to go on a limb and say that Las Vegas was built on top of ancient Luxor. 6. Ancient Memphis was in the Americas. Based on the evidence, Memphis, Tennessee was ancient Memphis, because the ancient Egyptian god Ptah and his capital city of Luxor is from the Americas, and since the Americas is the old world. 7. The ancient Egyptian god Ptah is from Americas. Yes, Ptah, the pre-dynastic Egyptian Atlantean god, is from the Americas, because his territory was Utah, Judah territory, which covered Mexico and several states, California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and part of Oklahoma. Additionally, Ptah was also the chief god of Luxor and Memphis, Tennessee, which was in the Americas, as we have proven above. Las Vegas, Nagus, what used light bright serpent dragon, is located where what used to be Utah Territory, which covered several states and reached all the way to Mexico, because Utah used to be part of Mexico, and they say Utah is actually Judah. That's what some of them say, Utah, Judah. As you can see, Utah Territory covered Nevada, Arizona, California, because all of that was Utah Territory, named after a pre-dynastic Atlantean Egyptian god named Ptah. Ptah is basically an older form of the Egyptian god Horus, Oscar, Arthur. The state of Utah was named after the ancient Egyptian god Ptah. This is very evident too, because all they did was change the P into a U to hide the fact. This explains the Egyptian giant mummies and the pyramids that have been found in the Grand Canyon, which is in Arizona, aka Utah Ptah Territory. This also explains the Egyptian giant mummies that were found in Rachel, Nevada, which is Utah Ptah Territory. I have provided a photo of a giant skull called the Lovelock skull, because it was found in a cave in Lovelock, Nevada. They found many of these giant elongated skulls. These giant were the Moors, blacks, because they were the only culture that would tie binding rope around the skull of a baby when the skull is still soft in a circular pattern to increase brain capacity and spiritual consciousness. Apparently they found a whole heap of them. The Indians trapped them in a cave and set them all on fire. And then they dumped the bones in the Atlantic Ocean. So that's what they say. The Smithsonian did that. They have found elongated skulls all over the world, mostly Africa and the Americas. Some of these skulls are giant skulls and some are regular human size. The giant skulls, elongated skulls, are at least over 10,000 years old, because this is a time, the period where giants roamed the earth. The Bible says it was giants in the earth those days. It is a lot of spookism surrounding these giants, because they don't want you to fear history and knowledge. They don't want you to know about. The truth is that they were black Egyptian Sumerian giants that were from the offsprings of the blue-black Anunnaki giants, Cyrus beings from the Cyrus star system that came here eons ago. Also, the flag, the red, white, and blue, is for Cyrus and Orion. I'll make a video about that. All the flags that in the world that have red, white, and blue with the star are aligned to the Cyrus and Orion culture. Also, when you read the link, you can tell this was an ancient Egyptian find, because they didn't mention Egypt not one time in the article. Why? Because the Smithsonian cover up the age of these finds is more evidence demonstrating the Americas is the old world. I believe that Egypt over Africa was a satellite or a smaller Egypt compared to Tameri, America, which is an ancient name for Egypt. See this word here, Tameri, Tamerica, and become America. Drop the T. What a coincidence that you have the cities in Africa and in the Middle East, that you have the same place names in the American cities. It's way too many for it to just be a coincidence too. The evidence suggests that the Near East is just a reflection of the Far East. The Americas is the land of Ham, the great black father, the Orient, the Far East, while the Near East is the land of Cush, the sun. The ancient Egyptian god Anubis is from the Americas. Embedded in the blog post is a YouTube video from Kumo Atar. I'm subscribed to him, and he's a really knowledgeable man. He shares so much good stuff called Anubis Found in Mexico. This video demonstrates the Exolat is Anubis, the god of the underworld. The ancient Egyptian god Anubis is from the Americas because they found Anubis cave in Oklahoma, Ptah Territory, which is more evidence that the Moors, the blacks, were over here long before any slave trade. Onglum, which is the Irish and British alphabet that derived from Africa, was used. The ancient Celts, Vikings, come to America long before Christopher Columbus. The ancient Irish Celts and the British have strong Egyptian ties because the children of Israel are the Egyptians that fled when Pharaoh Akhenaten was expelled from Egypt. Scholars confirm that Akhenaten was Moses of the Bible. Akhenaten's daughter, Princess Scota, went to Scotland and established Scotland after herself. The black nobility claimed descendant from the Egyptian pharaohs via the blonde line of Princess Scota. I made a video about that. So on the 12th of March 21, I shared what happened with Scota the princess. So this story just adds a bit more to it. I'll leave that link in the description if you're interested in watching it. I've got some videos coming up, really good videos, scalar technology, a few other things that you people might be interested in. So, black nobility claimed descendants from the Egyptian pharaohs by a bloodline from Princess Scota. The Americas is ancient Egypt because Americas is the land of the Bible. The Americas is the land of the Bible. Answer yes, because Israel is in Utah, Ptah, Judah. Close to Columbus actually come to West Indies, aka the Americas, for gold, spices, and to retake the Moorish Jerusalem, the holy cities from the Moors. Deuteronomy 34 in the King James Version Bible describes Judah. The strange thing is that all these places are Utah, Judah. Also, in addition to the city of David, aka Jerusalem, is in Peru. 10. Peru was Heru, aka Horus of ancient Egypt. Is Egypt, Peru, Heru, and Judah, Utah all the same one? Answer, yes. Please read the blog post I did. It proves this. Family will all have to become master teachers, meaning that we've got to figure out all of these cultures, religions, and empires belong to the one and the same people, the Moors, the Hebrews, the Egyptians, the Indians, the blacks. So why are we fighting with each other? Answer, because Rome, the eagle, which is both sides of the eagle, which is the same one, you think you have a choice, but you don't. We're still slaves, like the slaves when Columbus and the slave trade over to America, that was all done by the kings of those lands. They rounded up their people and sold them to them. It wasn't the other people that did it. I'm not even going to dare say the name, but it's all mixed up. They've mixed history up, So because Rome, the eagle, has divided and conquered us with the religion, divided us even further by giving us all these different names and titles that refer to one and the same people, aka God's chosen peoples, as the children of Sun. Pyramids in America. This image is from the book Pyramids of America by R.A. Umar S. Bay. There are more pyramids in North America than all of Africa combined, and people tell me that America is not the true old world, not ancient Egypt. So yeah, they're laid out with Washington like a pentagram. I got a video on ley lines. I'll leave that in the links. I've done all this study about America before. It goes really in depth. In 79 AD, the Roman historian Josephus Flavius wrote that the last of the race of Egyptian giants did live in the 13th century BC during the reign of King Joshua. He further wrote that they had huge bodies and their faces were so unlike ordinary humans that it was amazing to look at them, and it was scary to listen to their loud voice, which was like a lion roar. 49th parallel border. Can you see the cross in the shield? Yeah. Alright, so, yeah, Gemini, Orion. So anyway, I'll leave that link in the description about the ley lines. I'll leave the links in the description about Scotia. I'll leave the other links I made about America and being Mystery Babylon, and what I'm basically saying here. Pyramids in America, and that history has been flipped up and twisted just to confuse everyone and get everyone into, pride and all those kind of things. So anyway, wherever you are in the world, much love. You have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. Hit the like, subscribe, or not. Doesn't matter anyway, as long as you're still here. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.